yet again, and it's heavy. I'm starting to think the rain followed me from England. I'm very uninspired at the moment, and my brain is rather busy. I've stared at a blank page for way too long and haven't been able to put any words down. Sometimes, no matter how much we try as authors, the words don't come easily. All my usual sources of inspiration, time in the woods, a long hike with the dogs, spotting an eccentric stranger who gives me an idea for a brilliant plot twist, well, they just don't work. Instead, what I do is get a random image in my mind. It just pops in there, completely uninvited, but very welcome. I don't say no to anything. An image, no matter how simple, the most mundane object can become something much bigger in time. When I get an image, I try to put it on paper the only way I know how. I try to draw what I see. I'm not an artist, I can't draw, can't sketch, but I've always tried. You can't blame me for always giving it a go. At least I get some marks for my effort. I don't have any fancy pencils, charcoals or sketch pads. I just find whatever blank pad is lying around. Sometimes I even use my black pens. If you're attempting to see artwork that is remotely highbrow or abstract, I'd stop right here, as you'll be surely disappointed. All this process does is give me ideas for the next work, the next chapter perhaps, even a brand new book series. All I have to do is start with a simple image, and today it's very easy. What comes to mind is a window. That's it. Nothing complex about that. Once I start with a window, I begin to imagine all these other things happening. Everything begins falling into place methodically. I decide there'll be red flowers. Roses perhaps, in a vase perched at the edge of the window. The roses are wilting. A few petals have dropped to the table. The table is missing, which doesn't seem to matter. I decide there'll be a little coffee table on the other side of the window. Perhaps most interesting is what's happening outside the window. I decide to put a rather creepy or a comical, depending on which way you look at it, sketch of this woman. I don't really have a plan with her, but I wanted her to look pained and distressed. And I think I've somehow managed that brilliantly. As ridiculous as she looks, it only leads to further questions on my part. What is her story? Where has she come from? What is that awful attire she has on? And so on and so forth. Gradually, her story gets bigger and bigger. Will the point of view come from this visitor, or rather from the person within the house who has seen this scary apparition appear? How do they feel about her appearance? Scared? Perhaps intrigued? There's so many possibilities. Sometimes I do like to add touches of colour, and I wanted to see what it would look like here. I put some yellow flowers outside the window. Sunflowers, daisies, you decide. And then further afield, I put some trees. The trees were supposed to show a gloomy dark setting, but I was in a very positive frame of mind, and somehow gave them green leaves and brown bark. So rather than the gloom and despair, this little drawing is a bit all over the place, with splashes of colour, but still, this little exercise has done its job, as my inspiration has returned to me. Although, I think temporarily.